A U.S. Navy submarine carrying 99 men disappeared without a trace. No distress call, no emergency transmission, no survivors. One moment, USS Scorpion was crossing the Atlantic Ocean. The next, it was gone. The Navy launched one of the largest underwater searches in history. Thousands of square miles of ocean were combed for clues. Weeks passed. Nothing. Months passed. Still nothing. Then, investigators discovered something terrifying. The ocean itself may have recorded the submarine's death, and what they heard would spark a mystery that remains unsolved more than 50 years later. Because even today, nobody can fully explain what happened to USS Scorpion. And some believe the truth was never meant to be found. Imagine being told that 99 people had simply vanished. Not in a storm, not in a battle, not during a disaster witnessed by thousands. Just gone. That was the reality facing the United States Navy in the spring of 1968. At the height of the Cold War, America and the Soviet Union were locked in a dangerous game of cat and mouse beneath the oceans. Nuclear submarines prowled the depths. Spy missions unfolded in total secrecy, and one mistake could trigger a global catastrophe. The crews who served aboard these submarines understood the risks. But they also believed one thing: if disaster struck, the submarine would have time to call for help. A warning, an SOS, anything. USS Scorpion never made that call, and that's what made this case so terrifying. Because whatever happened fast, very fast. At first glance, Scorpion looked unstoppable. She was a nuclear-powered attack submarine. Fast, silent, deadly. The kind of vessel designed to disappear beneath the waves and hunt enemy ships without ever being seen. For years, she had carried out missions around the world. Her crew trusted her. The Navy trusted her. But behind the scenes, there were concerns. And those concerns would become very important later. Because Scorpion wasn't perfect. In fact, some officers believed she was operating with problems that had never been fully resolved. Nothing catastrophic. Nothing that screamed disaster. Just enough issues to make some people uncomfortable. And when investigators later searched for answers, those concerns would come back to haunt them. But before we get there, something happened that changed everything. In early 1968, USS Scorpion received orders connected to growing Cold War tensions. The Soviet Navy was expanding. Soviet submarines were becoming more capable, and the United States wanted to know exactly what was happening. Scorpion was sent to monitor activity and gather intelligence. On paper, it was another mission, dangerous, but routine. The crew carried out their assignments, tracked targets, reported information, and eventually began the long journey home. Everything appeared normal. At least that's what everyone believed. Then came the final message. When investigators later reviewed the case, they became obsessed with this moment. Because nobody realized it at the time. But these ordinary communications would become the last known contact with USS Scorpion. No panic, no warnings, no signs of catastrophe, just routine communication. The kind of message sent every day. Then silence. At first, nobody worried. Submarines often disappeared from contact. That was normal. Their entire purpose was stealth. Hours passed, then days. Still no communication. Some commanders began asking questions. Nothing serious, just routine checks. But those routine checks quickly became something much darker. Because Scorpion wasn't where she was supposed to be. That was the first red flag. The submarine should have reached specific reporting points. It didn't. Additional checks were made. Still nothing. Then the Navy faced a terrifying realization. They had lost contact with a nuclear submarine carrying 99 sailors, and nobody knew where it was. Think about that for a second. The Atlantic Ocean covers more than 40 million square miles. Finding a submarine in that vast darkness is like searching for a single grain of sand on an endless beach. Except worse, because nobody even knew exactly where to start. The Navy began looking anyway. Ships were alerted, aircraft were dispatched, intelligence analysts worked around the clock. Every possible explanation was examined. Maybe there had been a communications failure. Maybe there was a navigation problem. Maybe Scorpion was delayed. Everyone desperately wanted a simple answer. But the longer the silence lasted, the less likely that became. Then came another disturbing discovery. There had been no distress signal. None. Not even a brief emergency transmission. Nothing. And that fact terrified investigators, because it suggested something horrifying. Whatever happened to USS Scorpion may have unfolded so quickly that 99 experienced sailors never had a chance to react. At this point, rumors began spreading. Families demanded answers. Some feared collision, others feared mechanical failure. And then there were those who whispered something even darker. What if the Soviets were involved? Remember, this was 1968. The Cold War was raging. Tensions were everywhere, and Soviet submarines operated in many of the same waters. Was it possible that Scorpion had encountered an enemy? Was it possible that something happened the public wasn't being told? The questions multiplied. The answers did not. Weeks passed. Then more weeks. Nothing. No debris, no oil slick, no emergency beacon, no wreckage. It was as if USS Scorpion had simply vanished from existence. And that's when the investigation took a dramatic turn. Because while ships searched the surface, a completely different group of experts started listening to the ocean itself. And what they discovered would change everything. The ocean may have captured the final moments of USS Scorpion, recorded forever in the darkness beneath the waves. But what those recordings revealed only deepened the mystery. Because the sounds didn't clearly explain what happened. They only proved one thing. Something catastrophic occurred deep beneath the Atlantic Ocean. And the search was about to become far more intense. Please like and subscribe to the channel for the next part of this incredible true story.